Hi there. So today I'm going to review the school that tried to end racism. Now this is the UK version of the American TV show. Surprise, surprise, we here in the UK are copying America once again. It seems everything that happens in America soon gets imported into England, but that's for another video. But watching this was hard going again. Pretty much the same as it was reading the book White Fragility. I struggled to finish it, but I had to make the video. Now I've left a link at the bottom, and that's just a snippet, a 4-minute clip of the video. I actually watched the hour-long documentary, but I've been unable to find a version of that. So the video asks a class of school kids a series of questions, and depending how they answer those questions, they take so many steps forward or so many steps back. Surprise, surprise, it was the white kids who took so many steps forward and the non-white kids who took so many steps back. This apparently represents your starting point in the race of life, with all the white kids being so far ahead at the start line that it's almost impossible for the non-white kids to catch them up. Then we had a so-called sociologist explaining this child abuse and telling us how we misunderstand the term. People confuse white privilege with being wealthy when it's not. White privilege is not having to live with the consequences of racism, that your life is not made worse by racism. Now, my gripe with this nonsense is it says white privilege is the only privilege in town and it's the only privilege that affects your life outcomes. Well, I'm calling time on this. It's a lie. It's a lie. That's a fact. Imagine telling a terminally ill cancer patient you have heart disease privilege. Now that means, it doesn't mean you aren't dying of terminal cancer, it just means your life isn't made worse by heart disease. Like, gee, thanks, that's nice to know. And apparently white privilege is for all white people across the board, no exceptions. So even homeless people have white privilege because their life isn't affected by racism. Wow, what a thing to say. So here in Northern England, when in winter, when it's dark at 4 p.m. and those Arctic winds come blasting down, those people living on the street can be safe in the knowledge they have white privilege. It's like, wow, that's some privilege. And let's be clear, there has been a rise in homelessness in this area, but the vast, vast majority of them tend to be white men. But hey, they have privilege. Now let's get into some of the questions. For example, one question was, if your parents' first language isn't English, take so many steps back. Now, could this be a disadvantage? It's possible. I wouldn't know. Both my parents spoke English, as did their grandparents. That's the only language I've ever known. But again, this is not evidence of racism. This country is not responsible for people who come here learning the language. Now, this doesn't mean we shouldn't have classes where they can learn it so they can integrate into society and become positive members. And indeed, we do have classes here in the UK, and I'm pretty sure they have them over in America as well. And this is evidence of the exact opposite of racism. It helps people integrate. Now, I said I would try on this channel to see both sides of the argument. So is there a way this could be racist? Perhaps. if people were coming here and they were attempting to learn English and the state was actively stopping them learning our language to the extent where the police were investigating people who had been attempting to learn it and then arresting them and charging them, then yeah, that would be evidence of racism. But I'm pretty sure here in the UK, as well as America, such things don't go on. So therefore, again, I'm calling it a lie. Now, what is the effect this has on white kids? Well, they're led to believe that the colour of their skin alone affects their life outcomes. And it shows a ginger kid in the class saying exactly this. Now, it's no surprise he's ginger. I think that was deliberate because I remember growing up as a child, ginger kids, had a pretty hard time. They were bullied quite badly. So this is making a point. It's emphasising to us, even ginger kids have the magical white privilege. They're not exempt. And more disturbing was that this kid was sat with his parents and they seemed dead interested in what he'd learnt at school. It's like, hey, mum, dad, today I learnt I'm a racist white kid. And his parents were like, hey, that's really cool, son. Wow. So we know this madness is also brainwashing the parents as well. Now, the effect on the non-white kids, well, there was a young Indian girl and she was led to believe that because of her skin colour, the world was against her. Now, it was noticeable that she was well-spoken, seemed intelligent, and it showed her discussing it with her parents, who seemed to live a middle-class existence in a suburban area. Both parents seemed loving and successful. So my feeling was she's gonna do just fine in life. But if they wanted to carry out this experiment, what they should do is they should take a white kid from the class, perhaps from a poor or single parent and maybe even dysfunctional family background, and then they take the Indian girl and then they see where they both are in 10 or 15 years time. My guess is the white kid would not be as successful as the Indian girl. And if that did turn out to be the case, then where's the white privilege? So it's damaging to white kids and non-white kids. Is this nonsense? Now, who's behind it? Is this teachers who they themselves were brainwashed and they're just teaching what they think is right to the school kids? Or is it something more nefarious? Is it activists actively brainwashing our children because they know they're going to grow up the next generation of activists, and this further ingrains their ideology into society? I guess it's probably both, but that's irrelevant here. It doesn't matter. Either way, these teachers shouldn't be allowed to teach our children. They shouldn't be allowed within a million miles of them. Now, I watched this crap with my girlfriend, as I said, the hour-long documentary, and she kept telling me to turn it off because she couldn't bear it. Now, I've read the comments in the YouTube video, and thankfully, most of the comments agree. But guys, unfortunately, this means nothing. We can complain till we're blue in the face. This stuff is still being taught to our kids here in the UK and in the USA, and it seems in Australia. So it seems this is a problem in the English-speaking world. So what are we to do? Well, first of all parents, well, the ones who haven't been brainwashed, need to get together, organise, and call time on this. They have to say, no, 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 you aren't going to teach our children this crap. We won't allow it. And they have to protest. and put a stop to it. And unless we actively put up some kind of resistance, as I said, we can complain till we're blue in the face. This will be continued to talk. And let's face it, we're talking about our kids' future on the line here, the future of our society.